Right Honourable Prime Minister in reply.
Mr Speaker, allow me to just take a couple of moments to firstly thank the House for what I think is a very constructive debate. I think the situation that we face and the threats we face from ISIS are warrant the careful consideration that the House has given it this afternoon and the mature and intelligent debate that people have added. Let me give people an absolute assurance, or parties an absolute assurance, that the Select Committee debate will literally be that, an opportunity to test out the proposed changes that the government is making. As we've said, they'll be narrowly focused, and I think, as a number of speakers have pointed out, they're appropriately set. We acknowledge that the 48-hour issue is something that needs to be carefully considered and carefully monitored. The point really around the 48 hours, if I can make this, Mr Speaker, is simply that it does take a little longer to raise a warrant, not because the Attorney General is not available to sign it in his capacity as the Minister responsible. It's because the Commissioner takes a very long period of time, and rightfully so, to very thoughtfully go through a warrant. So when the Commissioner turns up, he, has been the case with Sir John Jeffreys, now Sir Bruce Robinson, actually spend an appropriate period of time making absolutely sure that that warrant should be raised. And so the only point here really is that sometimes that process, if by chance of the way of information that came to us, we were to hear something that we felt we needed to act on very, very quickly, that's the rare and exceptional circumstance. And really, unless SIS were absolutely convinced that warrant could be raised, it would be ridiculous for them to actually go on an exercise of gathering information, because they'd have to destroy it. They wouldn't be able to use it. And actually, I think it would damage their reputation if we started having them, going out and saying that they constantly been undertaking this 48-hour surveillance. But I think it's one of those things that the Parliament should kick around, and we'll take those discussions in good faith. So that's really the main issue there. Mr Speaker, in terms of the final point, I'd simply make this in relation to the government's suggestion of what we should be doing on the ground in Iraq. And that is that I share the view actually from those that say that in the end, the situation in Iraq has to be resolved with the Iraqis. It actually has to be resolved with a government that recognises not a secular response to this, but actually an inclusive response. And unless ultimately the Sunnis, the Shiites and the Kurds are listened to and they feel as if they are included, a long-term solution in Iraq will never be found, and it won't matter how much military effort you put in, it will not resolve it. So Iraqis have to fight their own battles, and actually they have to find a diplomatic way through. But it will be necessary, ultimately, to combat ISIL, and that is clearly on display. And we saw that yesterday when ISIL essentially executed 322 people, women and children. We can't let that happen unanswered. So the government is trying to take what is a careful but measured response. But I think putting our SAS in on the ground as some sort of killing machine would not work as a long-term solution. I think in the end Iraq has to be the owner of its own long-term problems. We're here to help, but I don't think we can fight their battles for them.
The time allocated for this statement has expired. No petitions have been delivered